What's going on, my trainer club? Today we're going to check out the beginner guide to community day for anybody that needs help in preparing for community day, whether you're a new player, a returning player, or you just want a deeper understanding of what Pokemon to focus on. So welcome to the trainer club. Here we go. Welcome back, everybody. Let me know in the comments below, how hyped are you for the December community day in Pokemon Go? I am so incredibly excited. Number one, because we're bringing back all of the 2019 shinies, and there are some amazing Pokemon that we discovered and encountered this year. One, because of the cool shinies, but two, because they are meta relevant, meaning that they are going to be effective in the game to play with. So not only do we have cool shinies, not only do we have a lot of great bonuses, but we also have some really effective Pokemon that are going to increase your gameplay, especially if you are a new or returning player. So for you guys, we are specifically going to cover everything that you need to know as far as what Pokemon to focus on and what is going to increase your gameplay dramatically by just focusing from community day, because some of you guys may have missed out on some legendaries, some other Pokemon that may have been pretty significant for your gameplay, but now I'm gonna help you out here so that after this day, you're gonna be sitting pretty good for having Pokemon for attackers for PvP. And one other quick thing I wanted to mention is that thetrainerclub.com, where you can get my clothes all the way until December 11th is going to be the pre-order. So after that date, we are going to then discontinue this stuff from the shop. So for anybody that wants my merchandise, this and now is the time to do so. So before we get into this, I just want to make sure we cover it with the resources. Guys, if you don't have anything, the boxes right now in the shop are pretty good. We have lucky eggs, we have star pieces, where you're going to need 12 star pieces during the 2 3-hour windows to maximize fully on the Stardust. Stardust is going to be the most effective way that you're going to power up your guys. I don't suggest you guys use Stardust on silly stuff if you have a very small amount of Stardust. You really want to start stockpiling your Stardust and power up stuff as you need it for the raid bosses. Even though you may get 100%, and I see this pretty often, somebody will get 100% and they'll be like, oh, I gotta max it out immediately because it's 100% IV, but then it just sits in your bag. So that's the number one thing I want you guys to take away from this event, is just start stockpiling up on the Stardust. You're going to need your items. If you didn't see my video, that's going to help you guys buy one, get one free. As far as the coins go on the Samsung phones, you definitely want to check out the video up here to help you maximize out on that. And then we're also going to want to keep on going with the friends bonuses to be able to get some more XP if you're trying to rank up. And number two, efficiently maxing out your items is a very big part of these community days. In all my prep guides, you guys do know that I talk about this quite extensively. Just focus on getting as many pineapple berries as you possibly can, and focus on getting as many ultra balls as you possibly can. These two scenarios are really going to help you max out on candy if you don't have enough of any of these Pokemon. And number two, you're going to max out on catching them because you want to catch them quickly, which, if you don't know how to quick catch trick, which is basically going to skip the animation to catch Pokemon faster, you're also going to want to check out this video, because there's a lot of things you guys have to know to be able to maximize out on this community day, to be able to get more Stardust and to be able to get more Pokemon and more candy, to make sure you have enough candy of the most effective guys that we're about to cover right now. So thank you to Pokemon Go Hub and to Game Press for putting out the stats for Game Press. They do an amazing job on all the stats, and for Pokemon Go Hub for putting out amazing articles. And then three, thank you to Leak Duck for these amazing graphics that we're going to use in this video. So now we're going to check out a list, and I'm going to slightly vary it up based on Pokemon Go Hub's predictions and recommendations to make sure you max out. So according to Pokemon Go Hub, we have, for the raids and the gym battles, which are going to be our attackers, we have Metagross as a high level focus with Meteor Mash. We have Venusaur with Frenzy Plant. We have Tyranitar with Smackdown, Swampert, Hydro Cannon, Blaziken, Blast Burn, Salamence, Outrage, Sceptile with Frenzy Plant, Feraligatr, Hydro Cannon, Torterra with Frenzy Plant, and Charizard with Blast Burn. And then on the PvP side, we have Swampert with Hydro Cannon, Venusaur, Frenzy Plant, Umbreon, Last Resort, Blastoise, Hydro Cannon, Charizard with Blast Burn, Meganium with Frenzy Plant, Gardevoir, Synchronoise, Tyranitar, Smackdown, Metagross, Meteor Mash, and Vaporeon, Last Resort. So before we move on, some of these guys are going to be a lot more obtainable during this community day, and then other of them are not going to be, such as the Metagross. We're only going to be seeing Beldum in eggs and raids, so the chances of us getting a Beldum encounter in high priorities to get a lot of shinies or maybe potential good ones is going to be a lot less common, right? So as far as the Venusaur as well, Bulbasaur is only going to be in raids and eggs as well. So we're not going to be, unfortunately, able to get that one readily available as well. So the main focus of this is going to be giving you guys the best ability to conquer out Community Day without having to use a tremendous amount of resources to go after it. So without a doubt, a Metagross with Meteor Mash is going to be one of the most effective things. So if you've been hatching some 10-kilometer eggs or you've caught some in the wild, you're definitely going to want to go into this Community Day with a good one, hopefully, that you can get. You can always raid for it and you can catch it in eggs, and it's going to have a base floor of 10, 10, 10, but that doesn't mean that I would automatically power it up. So that may be one that you use for a lucky trade. So today we're going to focus on the most prevalent ones that are going to be readily available to you in the wild, because that's going to be the bulk of what we're doing, is going to be catching Pokemon in the wild. So we want to make sure that we have the best available options at the easiest rate, and there's other competing Pokemon in here, like Venusaur may be pretty good, but a Torterra is a very, very close second, and it's going to be all in the wild the entire weekend. So that's what we're going to focus on for this. So if we're going to look at the wild spawns on 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. both on Saturday and Sunday, it's not 24 hours throughout the entire weekend. It's only going to go for 12 hours. We have spawning in the wild the Totodile, the Swinub, the Trico, the Torchic, the Mudkip, the Ralts, the Slackoth, the Trapinch, the Bagon, the Turtwig, and the Chimchar. And so that's going to be for both days. Then in the raids on Saturday, we're going to be having all of these Pokemon, which include Bulbasaur, Charmander, Squirtle, Pikachu, Eevee, Dratini, and then we have the Chikorita, we have the Cyndaquil, we have the Mareep, we have the Larvitar, and the Beldum, and then the eggs are going to hatch similars. And then on the Sunday, we're going to have the same Pokemon spawning in the wild, except the raids are going to have a very similar amount of Pokemon, and the eggs are then going to add in Beldum and some of the Community Day Pokemon from the day that are going to be hatching. What is the main difference and what's our focus here? We're going to go down the list, and starting with number one, it's going to be Water-type Pokemon. What are the most effective Water-type Pokemon in the game, and what can really help your team go out significantly? If we're looking at the top water attackers, Kyogre is going to be sitting at the top with 2,377 DPS times TDO, but then in a close second, it's going to be Water Gun, Hydro Cannon, Swampert at 1879. So this is a really good option. And then if we look down a little bit more, we have Feraligatr with the Water Gun, Hydro Cannon at 1624.9. We are definitely going to want to focus on the Swampert. Swampert is going to be amazing, second best water attacker in the game, and Mudkip is going to be prevalent all over the place. So this is definitely a Pokemon you're going to want to catch a ton of, and then you're going to want to trade a lot of to try to get luckies to be able to power up. Next, we're going to look at the Swinub. The reason why I like the Swinub because it is the best ice attacker in the game. So not only is it going to be super prevalent, we can lucky trade it. It holds the #1 spot. It is going to be 400 plus over DPS times TDO above the second place, which is going to be the Glaceon. So as far as the attackers go, the Mamoswine is going to be absolutely amazing. Swinub is going to be great to focus on. Next, we're going to check out the grass attackers. So we have a couple different options. We have the Bulbasaur, but the Bulbasaur is only going to be in the raids and the eggs, so it's going to be a little less prevalent. So as far as the top grass attackers, we're going to look at the Roserade, which is going to be the first available right now at 1463, and then in second place we're looking at the Venusaur at 1385, and then only 13 points below we have the Torterra with the Razor Leaf Frenzy Plant combination, and then we have the Sceptile with the Bullet Seed Frenzy Plant. But overall, if you did want to check this out, the Sceptile with Fury Cutter Frenzy Plant is 1713 in comparison to the grass Roserade, which is going to be 1463. Granted, bug and grass are not synonymous in what they're going to be effective against, but it is a pretty cool thing to check out. So since the Rosalias are pretty prevalent in the wild, that's going to be my #1 option. But if we're looking at Community Day and what's going to be the best option for us, we're having the Pineapple Berries, we have all our Ultra Balls. I would say to focus on the Turtwig because that 13-point differential and having them readily available is going to be my #1 recommendation. So for the attackers in the grass category, I highly suggest that you guys are going to focus on the Turtwigs to make sure that you get a solid quality grass attacker. And then coming up next, we have the fire type attackers. What's going to be our best strategy for the fire type attackers during this day? So #1, it's going to be the little baby cute chicken. It is going to be Torchic because Torchic sits as the #1 available fire attacker in the game. It is going to be in the 8th best fire attacker spot, and obviously the Reshiram is not out yet, with the Fire Spin Blast Burn at 1963, which is just slightly below the Chandelure. Moltres and Entei are going to be a little bit more above in their optimal move sets, but as far as a readily available Pokemon, this is a great option to have for the fire type attackers. And as far as the Chimchar, doesn't really hold too much weight with the Blast Burn when it turns into the Infernape, unfortunately. And then if we're looking at the Ralts, turning into the Gardevoir, not with Synchronoise, but with the Charm move and the Dazzling Gleam. It's going to be the second best fairy type attacker behind Togekiss. So if you're looking for really good fairy type attackers, the Ralts is a great option to have. And then as far as the Glade, unfortunately, it doesn't do the best in any category. The Slackoth and the Trapinch we are going to cover in the PvP section after the attackers, but next we're going to turn on to Bagon. Bagon is going to be an amazing Pokemon. Number one, because it's really cute, in my opinion. Number two, the shiny is really cool. But number three, it is going to be the top available wild dragon attacker in the game above Dragonite. So looking at the dragon attackers, all the dragon attackers that are better or have higher DPS times TDO than the Salamence are going to be legendary Pokemon, Rayquaza being number one. The Kyurem is potentially going to be better, obviously, but we don't have it out yet, so we can't really put weight into these stats yet because it could get taken down a notch. Palkia and then Salamence in the third available spot right now. Dragontail Outrage at 3, 2, 6, 9. And then we have Garchomp, Zekrom, another Salamence with the Draco Meteor, Dialga, Reshiram. And then if you wanted to see the Dragonite, it would actually be on the next page in the 11th spot, which is where Dragonite would sit with the Outrage. So unfortunately, the Draco Meteor for the Dratini doesn't really make the Dragonite that much better. Outrage is actually a better moveset than the Draco Meteor would be as far as the best attacker, which is then going to lead us into the PvP Pokemon. What is going to be the best PvP Pokemon to look out for when we are doing community days? Because some of these Pokemon have a really high ranking and are very valuable as far as PvP goes if you're looking to get into it, or maybe you've considered it or anything like that. So the PvP Pokemon are going to be, if we're looking at the rankings overall, we have Swampert actually in the 5th overall rank, which is pretty high. And then if we're going to look at the other ones, this is where I told you the Slackoth is going to come in, because Vigoroth with Counter, Body Slam, and Bulldoze is going to be ranked 13 overall. It's an absolute beast Pokemon, but that doesn't take into account the Slacking. You know, the Body Slam does do it a little bit of justice. It's a pretty cool Pokemon. It sits as the #1 overall CP, but it doesn't get any damage from its quick move, so that's a very unfortunate place to be. And then as far as the other Pokemon, Meganium actually is going to sit Vine Whip, Frenzy Plant, and Earthquake in the 16th spot. Venusaur is going to be in the 17th spot. We have the Blastoise sitting in the 20th spot, and then we have the Umbreon with the Snarl, Foul Play, and Last Resort sitting in the 21st. Then we have the Charizard and the Dragonite in the 37th and 36th spot. However, the Dragonite needs to have a Dragon Claw and Dragon Breath combination, which are both legacy moves that are not available for Community Day. So unfortunately, we won't be utilizing that. And in the 63rd spot, we have the Sceptile. In the 66th spot, we actually have the Ivysaur, but there's a bunch of better grass type attackers up there. And then if we're looking at fairy types, we have Gardevoir with Charm, Synchronoise, and Shadow Ball, which is a pretty unique combination. However, there are better fairy type attackers as far as the rankings go. And then we have Grotle and Blaziken. Grotle in 68th and Blaziken with the Blaze Kick Blast Burn in the 70th spot. So that's going to be where the best PvP Pokemon sit. And here's what you guys want to realize, that a lot of these Pokemon are going to be a different type attack. If you want to check out, you can go to gostadium.club and type in your IV ratios to see where they all sit. But most of them are going to be very low attack and high on the defense and stamina, like a 0, 1, or 2 on the attack, with like a 14 or 15 on the defense and stamina, which is going to be the best because you can really level it up and you can have a lot of defense and stamina to help it last longer, while the attack is actually what really raises the CP up. And since it has to be below 1500, having that low attack means the level of the Pokemon can come up, it can really start resisting a lot of stuff, and then it can also be effective as far as the level goes. So then, what days are you going to be hunting which Pokemon, and what's the best strategy overall to make sure that you're maximizing every single thing? So on Saturday, in the wild, overall, we're going to have all the spawns that are going to be constantly boosted throughout the day. So that's definitely something you're going to want to focus on. The things that I would focus on are going to be the Swinub. You can definitely focus on a lot of these other ones, but the Torchic is going to be a great one with Blaziken. We have the Mudkip, which is an outstanding Pokemon in both the water type attackers and the PvP. So Mudkip is a big win overall. We have the Ralts, which is a really good fairy type attacker. We have Slackoth, which turns into Vigoroth, which is a really good PvP type Pokemon. Then we also have the Trapinch, which is going to be Flygon. Flygon's also a really good PvP type Pokemon. Unfortunately, the moveset doesn't really matter all that much, but the Trapinch is great. We also have the Bagon. Bagon is an amazing Pokemon, like we talked about, Turtwig and Chimchar. And as far as those two go, we definitely want to use the Bagon, the Turtwig, and the Chimchar a little bit less. As far as raids go, if you do want to focus on any raids, I'm just going to point out one thing, that Mareep at some point may have a Mega Evolution, which becomes a really, really unique, cool, powerful Pokemon, but we don't know anything about Mega Evolutions, and there really hasn't been any hints to it in Pokemon Go. So as of right now, you could have some of those with the Dragon move, but as of right now, it's not super effective. But the Beldum and the Larvitar are definitely going to be Pokemon that you want to get after. As far as the rock type attackers, the Larvitar turning into Tyranitar with Smackdown Stone Edge is going to be the third best rock type attacker, but Terrakion and Rampardos are going to be better. So Terrakion, since it's in the raids right now, we might as well utilize that to our full potential because it's 400 above the other one. So that's definitely something you guys want to focus on. And then as far as the EVs with the Last Resort, unfortunately, most of the Last Resort is really going to be used for PvPs. The Last Resort is not really the best. It's not going to get stabbed. And since the Regigigas just came out with Giga Impact, it's really going to hold the #1 spot as the normal attacker. So Espeon definitely can use their Last Resort, and it makes it a decently powerful Pokemon, but it's not super effective. It's more of a PvP type move. And then as far as the eggs, just hatch as many eggs as possible. But if you're focusing on Saturday, and let's say you're in a cluster, the increased spawns are going to be the Totodile, the Swinub, the Trico, the Torchic, the Slackoth, and the Bagon. You're going to want to focus on the Bagon, #1, the Torchic for Blaziken, #2, and the Swinub for #3. So if you're going to focus on 3 Pokemon that are going to be your #1s, and then afterwards you're going to trade to get the best ones and more luckies, those are going to be what you're going to utilize. And then as far as Sunday, it's a pretty similar egg pool. Definitely going to want to keep hatching the eggs. The raids, wanted to do Dratini, you can as well, but Dratini, shiny, it's pretty good. It's definitely not as good as the Bagon, which is definitely going to be more prevalent. So as far as the wild spawns on this day, #1 absolutely has to be the Mudkip. Mudkip is the reigning supreme water attacker besides Kyogre, and it's amazing for PvP at rank 5. So Swampert is going to be highly, highly valuable. You're definitely going to want to go after that. Ralts, really good fairy type attacker and can weigh a little bit into PvP, not tremendously. Trapinch is a pretty good PvP Pokemon as well. Flygon really comes in there. It's got a good moveset combination. And the Turtwig is going to be the other main focus here because Turtwig goes to Torterra, which is basically the 3rd best grass attacker, really, really close to the Venusaur, but readily available. So it's definitely something you're going to want to take full advantage of. So I hope that helps you guys out. You're definitely going to want to need some incubators. Check out those boxes that are out right now. As far as the December Community Day goes, you definitely want to focus on the readily available Pokemon. Let the eggs be bonuses. If you want to do raids, you can. The only unfortunate thing about all these raids is they virtually come out at level 20, so that's going to be quite an amount of Stardust to power it up, and unfortunately you're not catching it in the wild, so it can't get all the way up to level 30 if it's non-weather boosted, or if it is weather boosted all the way to level 35 like some of these other Pokemon. So the big winners are going to be Mudkip is going to be huge. Swinub is going to be huge. Bagon is going to be huge. Turtwig is going to be huge. And these are Pokemon that are in the wild that are prevalent. You also want to do the Torchic. And as far as the PvP goes, you want to focus on the Mudkip. You definitely want to get out there. You want to try to evolve any of these other Pokemon that you have. And unfortunately for the other Pokemon, like if you're going to raid or hatch them, they're not going to be in the best PvP IVs, so it's not going to sit the best. So the best strategy would be hopefully you have one going in that you can just evolve with the Community Day move to get you the Frenzy Plant if it's on like something like a Venusaur. So that's going to be everything, guys. Focus on the available Pokemon as #1. #2, you can raid for these Pokemon, but it's going to be a tremendous amount of Stardust waste. So hopefully you have some of these guys saved. You could start trading them to try to get luckies, but then after this day, you're going to want to trade as much as you can and use the most effective Pokemon that we just covered. So that's going to be it, guys. I appreciate all you guys for tuning in, all my likers, commenters, subscribers, and Patreon members for taking their subscriptions to the next level. I'm going to see you guys out on the next video. Peace! I just want to take a moment and sincerely thank all of my Patreon members, everybody that has taken their subscription to the next level and chosen to support me on this platform. I greatly appreciate you guys. As a growing channel and really trying to grow and improve as much as I possibly can, I really appreciate the extra support. You guys mean the absolute world to me. I cannot wait to connect with you soon, and I appreciate you guys all for being a part of the Trainer Club. I will see you guys out on the next video.